The Galactic Accord Chamber was a cathedral of glass and steel, orbiting the neutral world of Alindra Prime. Its massive domed roof shimmered with 1,000 stars, as representatives of countless species gathered beneath, filling the immense hall with murmurs and rustling robes. At the heart of the chamber sat the council dais, a crescent of seats arranged like an open jaw, designed to inspire both unity and the dread of scrutiny. The Zaltar Dominion's delegation had taken their place-tall, sinewy reptiles with jagged scales that glinted like obsidian. Their crimson eyes scanned the crowd, and a low hiss filled the air as their leader, High Commander Varax, rose. "I speak on behalf of the Zaltar Dominion," Varax began, his voice harsh and guttural, reverberating unnervingly through the chamber's acoustics. "The humans have overstayed their welcome in this quadrant. Their reckless colonization and disregard for our borders threaten the balance we have long maintained." He paused, letting his words hang heavy. "We demand that the Earth Coalition surrender its colonies nearest to Zaltar space. Failure to comply will result in swift military action." A tense silence fell. Then, from the opposite side of the chamber, a ripple passed through the human delegation. Ambassador Marin Ives stood, the room dimming slightly as all eyes turned toward her. She was unremarkable in appearance, neither imposing nor glamorous, but her presence filled the chamber with quiet authority. Her gaze locked on Varax, steady and unflinching. "You misjudge us, Commander," Marin said softly, but with steel beneath her tone. "Humanity does not seek conquest. We expanded because we value survival, exploration, and unity. But do not mistake our restraint for weakness." The Zaltar snickered. Another member hissed something in their harsh tongue, dismissive. Marin's voice dropped to a whisper loud enough for the closest delegates to hear, but cold as a starless void. "If you think we crave war, then prepare yourselves to be erased." The chamber exploded with murmurs and shocked gasps. Some of the older races exchanged uneasy glances. The humans, new to the galactic stage, had just issued a warning unlike any heard before. High Commander Virax's eyes narrowed. "Empty threats. The humans have yet to prove themselves. If they are foolish enough to challenge the Dominion, they will be crushed beneath our claws." Marin inclined her head slightly. "We shall see." Later, back in the human delegation's command suite aboard the orbital station Artemis, Marin stood staring at a holographic display of Titan colony. Blue-green dots blinked calmly in their orbit, innocent, vulnerable. Behind her, General Elias Thorne, the Coalition's top military strategist, paced with tension etched on his face. "They won't back down. Not after this." Marin didn't respond. "We don't seek war," she murmured, "but we will not be bullied." A sharp chime interrupted the room. The communications officer turned, face pale. "Ambassador, the Zaltar fleet has launched an unauthorized strike against Titan colony." Instantly, the hologram shifted bright. Flashes appeared. Orbiting satellites went dark. Then large clusters of explosions rocked the planet's surface. Panic flared in the room. "Casualty reports?" Marin asked, voice steady despite the storm brewing inside. "Initial estimates. Millions. Civilian habitats are devastated." General Thorne clenched his fists. They crossed a line. Marin's gaze hardened. And now the waiting begins. Over the next several hours, the Artemis and human fleets vanished from known space. Diplomatic channels went silent. The galaxy whispered rumors. Did Earth retaliate, or were they broken? No one knew. What they did not realize was that beneath Earth's surface, deep in shielded orbital shipyards and submerged facilities, humanity's greatest secrets stirred. Ships designed decades ago in secrecy, stealth cruisers capable of slipping through nebulae undetected, armed with devastating precision weaponry, were being reactivated. long-dormant war A's, named after lost gods of judgment and vengeance, blinked awake in cold digital minds. Gene-modified soldiers, engineered for silent infiltration and lethal strikes, trained in isolation chambers, their minds focused on a singular purpose: defense of their home and retribution for blood spilled. Humanity's patience was not weakness. It was the slow accumulation of power ready to be unleashed. In the galactic shadows, the Zoltar Dominion celebrated prematurely. They broadcast propaganda lauding their victory, mocking the human silence as defeat. But Marin's final message, sent before communications blackout, remained etched across every major system's broadcast grid. You were warned. You chose war. Now, prepare to be erased. And somewhere in the dark vastness of space, the silent fleet began to move. The orbit around Saturn's largest moon, Titan, was usually quiet, a cold, serene ballet of human science stations, mining rigs, and civilian colonies dotting the thick orange haze. It was humanity's frontier, a beacon of hope and progress in the outer solar system. But now, the vast station lights flickered violently under a barrage of plasma fire. The Zoltar Dominion's assault came without warning. Hundreds of warships emerged from the edge of the Kuiper Belt, tearing through human patrols with brutal efficiency. Their ships were unlike anything the Earth Coalition had faced: sleek, jagged, bristling with weaponry designed for rapid destruction. Inside Titan Colony's command hub, Commander Lyra Chun's voice cracked over the emergency comm channels. All stations report heavy damage. Shields failing on Sector 5. Evacuation orders in effect. Outside the reinforced glass, panic spread like wildfire as the station's civilian population scrambled toward escape pods and emergency shelters. Children cried. Families huddled in corners. Titan's silent skies, once peaceful, now roared with the screams of alarm sirens and explosions. On board the flagship Artemis Vanguard, orbiting just beyond the initial strike zone, General Elias Thorne's jaw tightened. We were caught off guard. Communications blacked out within minutes. Our fleet is fragmented. Only a handful of ships managed to regroup. Beside him, Marin Ives stood motionless, eyes fixed on the live feeds from Titan's surface. There was no anger on her face, only a deep, simmering sorrow. "Casualty estimates?" she asked quietly. "Projected death toll? Over 3 million. Civilian and military," Thorne answered grimly. Marin swallowed hard, a single breath. This was not a war declaration. It was a slaughter, a message to scare us. She turned, voice low but unyielding. "But it will do the opposite. It will forge a resolve no enemy can break." The news spread like wildfire through the galactic networks. Media outlets from dozens of worlds broadcast live images of Titan colonies' devastation. The Zoltar Dominion spun their narrative, claiming it was a necessary show of strength against human expansionism. But the galaxy was split. Some elder races muttered about human naivete, how a young species so eager to integrate could be so swiftly humbled. Others, more quietly, began to question what exactly were humans capable of when pushed to the brink. Inside Earth's war councils, the silence from Marin's delegation was deafening. No immediate retaliation. No fiery speeches. No threats. Instead, the human fleets and diplomats disappeared from known star charts, leaving a vacuum filled by uncertainty and fear. Deep beneath Earth's crust, in a hidden naval base carved into the Andes, a silent order was given. In hangars carved from bedrock, sleek black ships once mothballed decades ago hummed to life. The Black Dagger Fleet, humanity's most secret weapon, prepared to emerge from the shadows. Commander Voss, leader of the Special Operations Division, watched monitors streaming data from across the solar system. The Zoltar expect us to be broken. That silence is their mistake. Nearby, Dr. Naomi Harker, the lead geneticist on the Coalition's covert project, oversaw the awakening of the Shadowborn elite gene mod soldiers grown in artificial wombs, enhanced for stealth, endurance, and lethal precision. She whispered to herself, the humans who built these soldiers never wanted to fight. But if they must, the galaxy will know fear like never before. Meanwhile, on the fringes of known space, Commander Reth of the Zaltar fleet received a cryptic transmission. A garbled voice, modulated and distorted, crackled over his com channel. You were warned. Now you will vanish. Before he could respond, his ship systems blinked and died. The stars outside his viewport disappeared as power drained away. Suddenly, from the shadows of space, human stealth fighters materialized, ghost-like and deadly. Reth's crew fought desperately, but their weapons failed to lock onto the invisible attackers. One by one, ships in his fleet dropped out of formation, lost in the void. His voice trembled as he sent a desperate call to the Dominion. They fight like ghosts. How do we battle shadows? Back on Earth, Marin stood before the Council of Nations, addressing the human public for the first time since the attack. Her tone was steady, resolute. We have suffered a grievous wound, she said. Titan Colony was attacked in cold blood. Millions of innocent lives lost. This act was not just an assault on our people. It was an assault on every ideal we hold dear. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. We did not seek war. We offered peace. We extended hands. But those hands were met with fire. We will respond, not with rash vengeance, but with unyielding resolve. The crowd erupted into applause, but Marin raised a hand. This is only the beginning. If the Zaltar Dominion chooses war, they will learn what it means to challenge humanity's will. That night, across Earth and the colonies, something shifted. In quiet rooms, starship crews prepared their vessels. Scientists activated long-dormant war programs. Soldiers donned armor enhanced beyond human limits. Marin Ives stood atop a balcony overlooking Earth's night-lit cities, her eyes reflecting the glittering stars. We warned them, she whispered. To herself, now they will see. The war humanity never wanted had begun, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Far below Earth's surface, deep inside the Andes Mountains, vast chambers of steel and concrete stretched beyond the reach of sunlight and satellite scans. Here, shielded from prying eyes and alien surveillance, humanity's greatest secret was stirring to life. The black dagger, fleet silent shadows of the past began to pulse with power. Hundreds of ships, sleek and angular, each painted in obsidian black and etched with cryptic glyphs from forgotten Earth cultures, powered on in unison. Their dark hulls absorbed the dim light of the subterranean hangars, reflecting nothing. In the command center, Admiral Kellen Voss stood tall, watching the flickering status screens. His expression was hard, his jaw clenched in anticipation. Status report, he barked. Stealth systems online. Propulsion calibrated. Weapons tested and armed, replied Lieutenant Mara, eyes glued to her console. Good, Voss said, voice low. The galaxy thinks we're beaten. They think we are weak. But they have forgotten humans don't just survive. We adapt. We evolve. We become the ghosts that haunt your nightmares. Nearby, in a sealed biolab, rows of reinforced glass tanks held the Shadowborn genetically enhanced soldiers engineered for covert warfare. Their muscles twitched beneath translucent membranes, brains wired for rapid learning, instincts honed for silent kills. Dr. Naomi Harker observed the monitors tracking their neural activity. They're waking, she whispered. A technician glanced at her. Do you really believe the galaxy is ready for this? She smiled, cold and certain. They'll have no choice but to face it. In orbit, aboard the orbital station Artemis, AI cores named Judgment, Nemesis, and Wrath hummed to life. Their cold, calculating algorithms began running war simulations, analyzing thousands of potential battle scenarios in milliseconds. An ethereal voice echoed through the station's mainframe. Protocol Revenant activated. Engaging target suppression. Matrix. Marin Ives entered the room, calm but resolute. We warned them. Now it's time to show them what humanity truly means. Across the galaxy, the Zoltar Dominion was reeling from the sudden and unexplained disappearances of their fleets. Ships vanished without a trace. No debris, no distress signals, only silence. Commander Reth sat in his command chair, frustration etched across his scaled face. They are ghosts. Silent hunters we cannot detect. We fight shadows and lose. His communications officer hesitated. Commander, there are reports of black ships that appear from nowhere, disable our systems, and vanish before we can retaliate. Reth growled low. We underestimated humans. We mocked their mercy. Now they are erasing us piece by piece. On a distant outpost near the Kuiper Belt, a Zoltar patrol ship was the latest to vanish. One moment, it was tracking human movements. The next, it simply blinked out of existence. No wreckage. No transmission. Back on Earth, the Council of Nations received encrypted reports from their covert operatives across the galaxy. The war was no longer fought openly. It was a silent, deadly chess match in the shadows. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, Marin addressed a secret gathering of allied commanders. The war is not what they expect, she said. It is not loud explosions and blood-soaked battlefields. It is silent, precise, relentless. She activated a holomap showing the locations of missing Zoltar fleets. These disappearances are only the beginning. The Black Dagger fleet and the Shadowborn will ensure that those who crave war learn the true cost of challenging humanity. In the depths of space, the first human stealth fighters slipped through a nebula dense with ion storms impenetrable to Zoltar sensors. The strike team, led by Commander Voss himself, moved like shadows across the void. Their mission: eliminate a high-value Zoltar command vessel coordinating attacks on human colonies. Within minutes, the target was disabled. Silently, the crew never knew what hit them. No screams, no alarms, only cold, efficient death. As the ships vanished back into the darkness, Voss transmitted a chilling message back to Earth. Ghosts have awakened. We have returned. Back in the Galactic Accord Chamber, whispers spread among the delegations. Who are these humans? Now? Asked an elder diplomat from the Iskari Federation. They've become hunters, not prey, replied a member of the Terran Council. The room, once filled with skepticism, now simmered with a new respect and fear. On Earth, Marin stood on a balcony overlooking the illuminated cities, the stars above shimmering like 1,000 watchful eyes. Her voice was barely more than a whisper to the night air. We did not want this war. But if they crave it, then we will be the storm they cannot outrun. Asterisk Commander RRETH sat alone in the dim command deck of the Vraxen, flagship of the Zoltar Dominion's fleet. His crimson eyes flickered across the holographic displays that should have pulsed with vital information, but instead showed only empty blackness where entire squadrons once roamed. Status report, he barked, voice tight with frustration and disbelief. Commander, hissed Lieutenant Srawl, her scales bristling. Another patrol has vanished. No distress signals, no debris, no evidence. It's as if the ship simply ceased to exist. Reth's claws tightened around the armrest. Impossible. The humans cannot possess such technology. Srawl's voice dropped to a whisper. They fight like ghosts, Commander. We do not battle an enemy. We battle silence itself. Across the Dominion's vast expanse, panic brewed. Fleet captains grew paranoid, scanning every blip with trembling hands. The Black Dagger fleet moved unseen, striking hard and vanishing before retaliation could form. In a secret war room on the Dominion's capital world, Virexis, High Commander. Varax slammed his clawed fist on the table. "Report," he demanded. "How many have we lost?" An aide hesitated. "Nearly half the fleet engaged in the last 2 weeks. No survivors recovered." Varax's crimson eyes burned with fury. "This is unacceptable. Send the hunters. Find these ghosts. Erase them before they erase us." But the hunters found nothing. In the void, human stealth ships dissolved into nebulae, warped through gravity wells, and slipped behind cosmic radiation clouds. Their attacks were surgical disabled engines, sabotage weapon systems, and entire crews vaporized without a sound. Zoltar ships were reduced to drifting corpses, emptied of life and hope. Commander Reth sat back, haunted by a vision he could not shake. It came to him in dreams, shadows boarding his ship, invisible yet present, striking with impossible precision. His entire crew fell silently, leaving only the cold emptiness of space. He shared the nightmare with his officers. None believed it possible, yet each confessed unease. The humans had become something beyond their understanding. On Earth, Marin Ives observed the growing reports with cold satisfaction tempered by sadness. "This is the war we did not seek," she told General Thorne. "But it is the war we must fight." Thorne nodded grimly. They thought silence meant submission. "We've shown them silence is the prelude to erasure." The Zoltar began, deploying desperate countermeasures, flares, sensor jammers, drone swarms designed to flush out cloaked ships. But the Black Dagger fleet adapted quickly. Stealth fighters emerged from the shadows, only to disappear again before the Zoltar could target them. Every battle was a ghost story. Whispered rumors of ships that attacked without warning, struck without mercy, and vanished without trace. Back on Virexis, High Commander Varax paced before a vast map of the sector. The humans hide behind shadows and fear. They have weaponized silence. He slammed a claw on the table. "Prepare the warlords' strike fleet. We will hunt them into extinction." But the humans never waited for the hunt. Instead, the Black Dagger moved with terrifying efficiency. Small strike teams hit Dominion supply lines, communications, hubs, and repair stations. Each attack crippled the Dominion's ability to regroup. Reth watched helplessly as entire Zoltar fleets were erased from the stars, the terror of invisible hunters gnawing at his command. In a rare transmission, Reth sent a desperate warning to Virexis. "They fight not with fleets, but with ghosts. We cannot face what we cannot see." Virex's reply was cold and unforgiving. "Then we shall burn the stars to deny them." Shadows to hide in. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The humans had become legends, silent, lethal, unstoppable. The species once mocked as naive had become a nightmare no one dared face openly. On Earth, Marin stood before the Council of Nations, her voice steady and resolute. "We gave them one chance," she declared. "They craved war. Now they will learn the cost of that craving." She paused, the weight of her words hanging heavy. "This war will not be won with brute force alone. It will be won with will, with cunning, and with the ghosts we have awakened." Beneath the quiet streets of major cities, deep underground shipyards hummed with renewed purpose. The Black Dagger fleet readied for their next move, unseen and unstoppable. And somewhere in the void, the vanished Zoltar fleets left behind only cold echoes and the silence of oblivion. The Zoltar Dominion's capital world, Virexis, shuddered under the weight of fear. The grand halls that once echoed with the Dominion's proud commands now hummed with uneasy whispers. No one dared speak of defeat, but every eye knew the truth. The humans were dismantling the Dominion's power piece by piece. High Commander Virax stood atop the council chamber balcony, overlooking the massive cityscape. Towering spires of black stone glinted under twin suns, but his gaze was shadowed. "They believe they can erase us," he muttered to himself. "But shadows can be hunted." Meanwhile, deep in the void, the Black Dagger fleet carved a path of surgical precision. Their next target, the massive Zoltar repair hub known as Korath Station. Orbiting a shattered asteroid belt, Korath was the lifeline for the Dominions. Damaged ships. Destroying it would cripple their ability to regroup and refit. Commander Voss led the assault from his flagship, the Nightfang. "We move in under the cover of the Ion Storm," he ordered. "Stealth systems engaged. We strike fast and vanish before they know what hit them." Inside Korath Station, the Zoltar crews went about repairs, unaware of the approaching doom. The station's defenses were formidable, but no one expected an invisible enemy. Suddenly, sensors flickered. Anomalies appeared, fleeting shadows dancing at the edges of detection. Lieutenant Thrall's voice crackled overcome. "Commander, unidentified contacts. Cloaked ships detected." Virex's command scrambled fighters, but they were too slow. The Black Dagger fleet struck with deadly accuracy. Missile pods exploded in critical junctions, power grids faltered, and life support began to fail. Panic spread. Korath's sprawling corridors echoed with alarms as the Dominion's finest raced to contain the damage. On board the Nightfang, Voss watched the devastation unfold through his tactical displays. "Phase 2, he commanded. "Deploy Shadowborn teams." Down below, genetically enhanced soldiers slipped through ventilation shafts and service tunnels, silent as death. Their mission: sabotage the station's central core and cripple its defense systems. Dr. Naomi Harker monitored their progress from Earth. "The Shadowborn adapt quickly," she said. "Their neural links allow real-time strategy updates. They are perfect soldiers." At Korath's core, a fierce firefight erupted. Zoltar engineers and security forces clashed with the Shadowborn in narrow corridors lit by sparks and flickering lights. Commander Reth's voice echoed in the comms. "Contain the breach. Protect the core at all costs." But the Shadowborn moved with eerie precision. Every corner they turned, enemies fell before they could react. The fighting was brutal, but swift. Minutes later, a pulse of energy surged through the station. Korath's core was destabilizing. Back on Virexis, High Commander Virax received the devastating news. "Korath Station is lost," his aide reported. "The Shadowborn infiltrated the core. We have suffered catastrophic damage." Virax clenched his claws. "Then we strike back. Mobilize the Warlord's fleet. We will crush these invaders before they grow stronger." But humanity's strike was only the beginning. In a secret chamber beneath Earth's surface, Marinive studied intercepted Zoltar communications. "They are preparing a massive counterattack," she warned. General Thorne nodded grimly. "They've gathered their warlord fleet near the Orion Rift. It's a trap." Marin's eyes burned with determination. "Then we will meet them there. The Black Dagger will not retreat." The Orion Rift was a swirling maelstrom of stellar gases and cosmic storms, a natural fortress that both sides knew well. As the Zoltar warlord fleet emerged from the rift, a fleet of black ships awaited them, hidden in the storm's eye. The battle was fierce and brutal. Laser blasts and plasma bolts lit the void as ships clashed in a deadly dance. But the humans fought with a ruthless efficiency born from desperation and resolve. Stealth fighters struck from the shadows, disabling enemy vessels before they could respond. During the battle, Marin's voice cut through the comms, steady and calm. "This war is not just about survival," she said. "It's about proving that humanity's spirit cannot be broken." Her words rallied the human crews as they pressed the attack. The tide turned when the Black Dagger unleashed a devastating Surprise a new weapon designed to disrupt the Zaltar shields and electronics. One by one, Zaltar ships went dark, drifting helplessly in the void. Commander Reth's flagship was among the first to fall, forced to retreat amidst heavy losses. After the battle, the survivors regrouped near a barren moon. Varax, this voice was cold and unforgiving. This is only a setback. The humans may hide in shadows, but we will bring the light of war to their doorstep. Back on Earth, Marin looked out at the stars, her heart heavy with the cost of victory. We fight to protect what we love, she whispered. But this war will change us all. The battlefield near the Orion Rift lay silent for a brief moment, shattered only by the faint hum of damaged ships limping through space. The human victory was hard-fought, but far from decisive. On board the Nightfang, Commander Vuss surveyed the aftermath. The wreckage of Zaltar warships drifted like broken monuments against the swirling cosmic storm, their dark hulls cracked and lifeless. Yet victory tasted bitter. Status report, Voss ordered. Lieutenant Marr's voice was grim. We've sustained heavy losses as well. Several stealth fighters are down, and the Shadowborn squads have suffered casualties. The enemy's resilience is stronger than we anticipated. Voss clenched his fists. They're learning. We must be ready for what comes next. On Earth, the weight of the war pressed down heavily on humanity's leaders. In a secure chamber, Marin Ives and General Thorne met with the Council of Nations. The room was filled with tension, the reality of the conflict stark and unyielding. The Zaltar won't back down, Thorne warned. They're regrouping, preparing to launch an all-out assault on the outer colonies. Marin nodded. Our intelligence confirms that. But we can't afford to just hold the line. We need a decisive move, one that will force them to rethink their war. Council members exchanged worried glances. The risk was immense. But Marin's gaze was unshakable. Far from the council chambers, Dr. Naomi Harker was deep within her biolabs, monitoring the Shadowburn units. She watched as the soldiers trained relentlessly, their bodies pushed beyond normal human limits. They're more than soldiers now. She mused aloud to a technician. They are symbols, proof that humanity refuses to be prey. Yet in her eyes flickered a shadow of doubt. Was this the path humanity wanted? Or the only path left? Back near the Orion Rift, Zaltar High Commander Virax met with his war council. His eyes burned with ruthless determination. We have been weakened, he admitted, but our reach is vast. The colonies are vulnerable. We will strike where they least expect. His finger hovered over a holographic map, highlighting a cluster of outlying human settlements on the edge of known space. Destroy their supply lines, Virax commanded. Cut off their lifeline. Starve them of resources, and the humans will crumble. As the Zaltar fleets launched raids on the outer colonies, chaos erupted. Civilians fled, stations were abandoned, and the coalition struggled to maintain control. In one colony, nestled on a frozen world, a young pilot named Kai Zara prepared for battle. His ship, a battered but nimble fighter, was all that stood between the raiders and innocent lives. Ready for this? His co-pilot asked nervously. Kai smiled grimly. We've faced worse. We fight for more than just survival. We fight for our future. Meanwhile, Marin Ives made a bold decision. We cannot simply react, she told her closest advisors. It's time to take the war to the heart of the Dominion. Plans were set in motion for a covert operation deep within Zaltar territory. A strike that would disrupt their command structure and shatter their will. Voss and the Black Dagger fleet would lead the charge. As the human fleet slipped into enemy space, tension soared. Every moment was a gamble. Detection meant annihilation. Yet as they moved forward, a strange phenomenon appeared on sensors. pockets of strange energy fields disrupting Zoltar technology. Lieutenant Mara's voice was tense. Unknown readings? It's as if the Dominion is testing a new weapon. Voss's jaw tightened. We're walking into a trap. Suddenly, the void erupted with energy. The Zoltar unleashed a devastating new weapon, a massive pulse that crippled ship systems across the fleet. The Nightfang shuddered violently. Alarms blared. "Damage report," Voss shouted. "Multiple system failures. Shield generators offline. We're vulnerable." Mara responded. In the chaos, the Black Dagger fleet scattered, forced to fight not just the enemy, but the storm of energy that crippled their technology. Voss gritted his teeth. "This changes everything. We need to adapt. Fast." "Back on Earth, Marines." Voice rang out across the networks. "We have endured much," she said, voice steady despite the dire news. "But humanity's spirit will not break. We will rise from the ashes of this conflict stronger than before." Her words sparked renewed sense of hope, but also a sober realization. The war had entered a new, more dangerous phase. Deep in the shadows, Dr. Harker's eyes glowed with determination. "The Shadowburn will be humanity's edge," she vowed. "We will become the storm that ends this war." The tide of war was turning, but in ways no one could have predicted. And somewhere, in the darkness of space, the ghosts of humanity prepared to strike back harder than ever before. Asterisk. The aftermath of the Zoltar pulse weapon strike left the Black Dagger fleet scattered and vulnerable in enemy space. Commander Voss tightened his grip on the command console of the Nightfang, eyes burning with determination. "We can't keep running," he muttered. "If we do, humanity loses everything." Lieutenant Mara's voice cut through the tense. "Silence. The Shadowburn units have regrouped and are ready for a counterstrike." Voss nodded. "Good. We're about to turn their weapon against them." Deep within the wreckage of a shattered Zoltar cruiser, the Shadowborn emerged silently, their enhanced bodies moving like shadows through the corridors. Their mission: disable the Zoltar pulse weapons control core before it could fire. Again, Kaizara, young pilot from the frozen colony, volunteered to join the strike team. His fighter had survived the pulse, a testament to his skill and luck. "This is our chance," he told his fellow soldiers. "We take this fight to their heart." On board the Nightfang, Voss coordinated with the Shadowborn leader, Captain Syrah. "Intel shows the pulse weapon's core is heavily guarded," she warned. "But we have one advantage: surprise." Voss smiled grimly. "Then we'll give them a ghost story they'll never forget." Meanwhile, High Commander Varks stood on the bridge of his flagship, oblivious to the impending assault. "The humans are desperate," he said, voice dripping with contempt. "They cling to shadows because they lack the strength to face us openly." His officers exchanged uneasy glances. The losses were mounting, and the humans' tactics had shattered Zoltar confidence. The Shadowborn strike team infiltrated the pulse weapon installation with terrifying efficiency. Silent alarms tripped as they moved through tight corridors, incapacitating guards before they could raise the alarm. Kai's pulse rifle discharged a silent burst, disabling a security panel. "Core's just ahead," he whispered. Inside the control chamber, the pulse weapon thrummed with deadly energy, ready to fire again. Captain Syrah's team planted charges. On the core's stabilizers. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. "They're onto us," Syrah hissed. "We have minutes, maybe seconds." Outside, the Nightfang engaged the Zoltar warships, attempting to intercept the strike team's extraction. Voss maneuvered through a hailstorm of plasma fire, shield generators. Flickering, but holding. "Hold the line," he commanded. "Get our people home." Back in the pulse weapon control room, the Shadowborn set the final charges. Kai looked at Syrah. "Ready?" She nodded. "Detonate on my mark." As the team evacuated, the charges detonated with a violent shockwave. The pulse weapon core exploded, sending a cascade of cascading energy and debris throughout the station. Zoltar sensors went dark. Ships faltered. Virax's S-bridge was thrown into chaos. Pulse weapon destroyed. A panicked officer shouted. Virax slammed his fist on the console. No, this cannot be. The Black Dagger fleet seized. The moment, Voss gave the order. Full attack formation. Push forward. The scattered ships reformed, sweeping through the Zoltar fleet with renewed ferocity. Zoltar warships fell under precise, relentless strikes. In the chaos, locked eyes with a Zoltar captain across the void. A silent challenge. Today, Voss muttered, the ghosts claimed their revenge. On Earth, Marin watched the battle unfold from the command center. Her heart swelled with pride as reports confirmed the pulse weapon's destruction. We are not prey, she said softly. We are the storm. In the shattered corridors of the pulse weapon station, Kai and the Shadowborn regrouped. Mission. Success, Kai said, breathing heavily. Let's get out of here. Sira nodded. This war is far from over, but today we have shifted the tide. The ghosts of humanity had struck a decisive blow, but the war's final act was yet to come. The void was silent, but the tension was suffocating. The Nightfang and the rest of the Black Dagger fleet held formation near the remnants of the destroyed pulse weapon installation, watching as the battered Zoltar warlord fleet limped back. To regroup, Commander Voss stood on the bridge of the Nightfang, jaw tight with exhaustion, but eyes blazing with determination. This is our moment, he said quietly. We either end this war here, or we lose everything. Across the Dominion, word of the pulse weapon's destruction spread like wildfire. Panic rippled through the Zoltar ranks. Their once mighty warlord fleet was fractured, their confidence shattered. High Commander Virax clenched his claws on the armrest of his throne, fury boiling beneath his calm exterior. They think they can erase us, he snarled. Then let us erase them first. But the humans were already moving. Marin Ives' voice echoed through secure comm channels. Prepare the final strike. We will not give the Dominion a chance to recover. The plan was audacious. A coordinated strike deep into the heart of Zoltar Space Virexis itself. The goal, to shatter the Dominion's command structure and force a surrender. The Black Dagger fleet advanced at full throttle, cloaked in shadows and silence. Kaizara piloted his fighter at the spearhead of the assault. The frozen world he once called home a distant memory. We fight for the future, he whispered to himself. For those who cannot. As the fleet breached Virexis' defenses, the battle erupted with a ferocity unmatched. Zoltar warships surged to defend their home, plasma fire streaking across the void. But the humans fought with ruthless precision, every strike calculated, every move rehearsed. Inside Virexis' citadel, Virax watched the battle unfold through panoramic view screens. His elite guards clashed with Shadowborn infiltrators, flooding the city's corridors. Blood and fire stained the halls. In the command tower, Marin led the assault on the Dominion's central AI core. Her team moved swiftly, bypassing security protocols with hacker precision. This ends now, she declared. Virax stormed into the command center, his rage unleashed. You will not destroy the Dominion, he roared. Marin faced him, eyes steady. You craved war, warlord. Now face the consequences. They clashed not just in words, but in a battle of wills and strategy. Outside, the Black Dagger fleet disabled the last of the Zoltar S-orbital defenses. The Dominion ships either surrendered or fled into the void, broken and defeated. Back inside the Citadel, Marin's team reached the AI core. Deploy the erasure protocol, she commanded. The core systems began to shut down, one by one. Varak's voice echoed through the chamber, filled with disbelief and defeat. You may have won this battle, but the Dominion will rise again. Marin shook her head. Not if we have anything to say about it. The Erasure Protocol wiped clean the Dominion's war machine destroying fleets, dismantling command. Networks, severing communications. The war that had raged across the stars was finally coming to an end. Outside, Kai watched the stars grow calm once more. We warned them, he said softly. You crave war, then get ready to be erased. The galaxy was quiet again. But humanity had proven a hard truth. When driven to the edge, they became ghost, silent, relentless, and unstoppable. The Dominion was erased, not just from the stars, but from memory. And somewhere, beneath the quiet stars, Marin Ives looked. Up, knowing the cost had been high, but the future was theirs to shape.